On this week's episode of The Art Teacher, I'm super excited because this is kind of like a behind the scenes conversation since I'll be interviewing and chatting with my wonderful producer, Stefanie Maegan. Stefanie is the host, creator, and producer of her very successful podcast, Broke Girl Therapy. As Stefanie explored so many different creative avenues as a kid, it wasn't until she got older did she realize that what she was looking for didn't exist yet because, well, she hadn't created it yet. Because of this rare innovative thinking, Stefanie is truly a self-made woman. We got to talk about the evolution of success, the importance of self-care, and what her favorite hairbrush song is. Okay, that part doesn't make sense, but it will in a minute. Please enjoy. That question.
I don't think I'd be a good person to ask that question.
Just a great. Oh, you're because the victim of it. But you are free to call him.
Am I free to call him?
In that sense.
How am I free to call him?
When it comes to relationships?
How I get into... I'm in a great relationship now.
Yeah, but I mean, I would never compare what's-his-face to Diego ever, because at least Diego was talented.
Morgan?
Yeah.
Yeah. She knows what's
Okay, so wait, I'm going to tell you a quick story real quick, right?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite interviewers of all time is Terry Gross, right? Mm-hmm. There's things that, I think she kind of messes up on. But the thing I love about Terry Gross is that every time she starts one of her episodes, it's immediately in the middle of a question, and then she just goes into it, and then all of a sudden she's like, so how did you know that you wanted to be president of Russia? And then then the person's starts talking, and I just always thought that was so cool and smooth. So how did you know that you wanted to be a producer of a podcast?
I didn't know. It just I feel weird.
Doesn't it feel weird?
I always feel weird. Well, I just feel weird being on the other end where I'm not leading the conversation.
Right. When you literally just made me almost cry on my first episode.
Right. I like leading the conversation and letting you guys talk. Mm-hmm. But it's weird when it's when someone
shoes on the other foot
is asking me questions and I'm like,
yeah. Where were you on March 25th, 2007.
Bitch, I don't know.
I don't know why that date came to mind.
Probably dry humping my ex-boyfriend.
This is not your podcast. We can't do the dry humping. But, I mean, that's part of your artistry.
It is. It's part of who I am.
Why a sex podcast?
You know what? I didn't intentionally try to make a sex podcast.
Then what led to it?
Because talking about dating and talking about my situation, it just and I also was going through this this sexuality phase of just owning my my body and my sex and all that stuff, and I think it just naturally happened that way. I never was I want to have a podcast to talk about sucking dick. It never was that's what I wanted to do or thrive to do, I didn't listen to any other sex podcasts. I kind of didn't like listening to other sex podcasts,
right,
to be honest. I just wanted a platform to talk about my problems.
Word.
To talk about dating and to talk about me navigating life. Mm-hmm. I really wanted just to document my life.
Yeah.
And the people in it.
For sure. And the characters.
Yeah, the characters in my show or in my life, and also just I think it's looking back to my childhood, it's literally my birth is on camera.
Wow.
I have a home video, and I'll show you. I have it on my phone.
I don't know.
Okay, well, I have a home video of my dad recording my birth, and you see the doctor literally. You don't see my mom's vagina, but you see him okay, and it's me taking my first breath.
Wait, when you put it like that, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, it wasn't a vagina shot or it wasn't gross at all. It's not disturbing.
For me, whenever I make about birth, it's not that it's disgusting because I think it's a beautiful act. It just makes me think that will hurt. You know what I mean? It's never I'm gross to see a vagina because let's be honest, I look at
the pain.
But I just it's the groans of I don't want to see that because I don't want to imagine that happening.
Yeah, I'm terrified of that feeling, but I feel we're built for it. So.
It is, but it's. I mean, I think birth is a very beautiful thing, an amazing thing, and it's a very strange thing to have caught on camera, but it's such a beautiful thought.
It is,
Your
yeah.
first breath.
Literally, for my first breath, you see my mom holding me for the first time. You know what I
that's
mean?
so
And my dad just
beautiful.
like documenting everything. So, and like my whole childhood was documented. Like, you know, like I've seen how I look and my personalities from like every like phase of my life, you know?
And I'm just giving this realization. This is why millennials live online. It's like
For
our
sure.
parents had the first, like, I remember
Video
seeing,
like, you know, video cameras was like huge in the
like
90s.
when my mom and like when my mom was a kid, like a Super 8 camera was like mad expensive. And like
Right.
I've seen her footage from like things, but it wasn't as big as it was like VHSs was like, that's revolutionary.
For sure.
We were really documented since
We were.
like birth.
Yeah.
No wonder we feel comfortable in front of cameras.
Yeah, no wonder we feel comfortable like just going on a podcast
Yeah.
or like Snapchatting or putting on our Instagram stories like what
Or
we're eating or
archiving.
doing or
Yeah.
the memories of like, yeah, exactly. It's like an archive, you know? And like me personally, when I was younger, like it was more than just, and I'm sure a lot of us do this, but like I loved creating like movies and shows and award shows. I already told you about
and little
this. Like
plays.
I produced an award show with all the movies and music videos that we created and did live like I put that together. Like I like genuinely loved it. And I loved singing too. Like I was a very like I loved being in front of the camera, but I mentioned this in like your first episode, but like I also was like nervous in front of people. Like when it came to like performing, you know, when it came to like singing in front of people, like I don't, you know,
like I could record a song in a booth, but
like
live,
right? I don't want to like. I would love to make like an EP, but I don't want to. I don't want to perform.
right?
I don't want to do a performance. Like I don't like. It's fine. Like I can enjoy someone else performing, but like if I ever
You'd be
somehow
a really interesting, really good songwriter then.
I've written songs, but my songwriting is like my podcast. I have this song called I Didn't Know. And like it's literally just like it's my first song that I've ever recorded, like, you know, and it's don't find it. It's somewhere on the internet, but don't find it. It's not
literally
it's not,
opened this.
It's not
gate.
produced great. Like could have been produced better. That's a whole another ass story. But anyways, it's like the first kind of like
hey, art teachers, go
No.
find it.
like it was like the first kind of like the way that I wrote my lyrics is me just like telling the story of what happened where I was like the side chick, like, and how I didn't know. So it was like me talking to the girl being like, yo, I didn't know. And it was like telling the story how we went
How
to the
shaggy
strip club.
of you! I didn't know.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Oh,
It was-
she's just giving a little simple.
Like but it's like when you listen to it, it's there's no like depth to it. It's me just telling you straight up what happened. So it's kind of like how I talk on the show where I just straight up just say what happens. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Like I don't like sugarcoat shit. And that's why people are like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. But it's like, that's just the way that I talk. So when
Right.
I songwrite, that's the way that I songwrite is like me doing an episode. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like telling you the story, bringing you like within this journey, what happened, but just like in a melody.
So basically, this has kind of been something that you've just been like literally born into and then gravitated
Yeah.
towards. But the interesting thing about you is, do you consider yourself an artist?
Yeah, I do.
You do.
Sometimes like I mean, I think I've always kind of considered myself an artist. I mean, I think when I was younger, maybe I kind of battled that because I was like, I don't draw or paint.
Yep. It's the whole idea of like the visual artist versus like the different types of art that
Yeah,
there
I
are.
think as I got older, I realized that art was not just like painting
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that or whatever. Like art is a self-expression
Mm-hmm.
in different mediums. And like, I don't think I always knew I was an artist, but I think growing up, I just didn't know what kind of artist I was.
Yeah.
So I was like, am I a singer? Am I a songwriter? Am I a painter? Like I literally have tried everything. And the one thing that really, I mean, I love singing till this day and that's always gonna be like my first love. But I think the one thing that really just made the most sense was doing my show, was doing vocal therapy.
And producing it and, you know,
Yeah.
hosting it and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
but I think because for me, there's different things of art that I like to do. Like, I mean, I love photo shoots of putting like a visual story together. I went to school for visual communication. So it's like visuals matter to me, you know, and then to like obviously like self-expression, talking about it. Like I think that's why podcast suited me so well, because it wasn't just like, okay, I'm singing a song, you know. It was like I get to like, create the name and create it like a way to, I don't know, like produce and to way to like edit and market it, and also like hosting. Like it was like tapping into like different areas in myself that I could just do all in one.
Which is interesting because I feel like you could make the conversation that it is tapping into both sides of your brain, right? Like it's very much the logistical left brain, mathematics side of it, and then the right side of the brain, which is tends to be more creative and
I think that I'm both.
That's what I'm saying though. Is that's the gravitation of the balancing of the two is being a producer. The logistical side of cutting and editing and like very like left brain kind of logic. Rulers, paper, duct tape.
I feel like I've had to teach myself. I think I'm more of a creative artist, but I've like had to teach myself, because like I feel like sometimes you have to be a little left brain when it comes to like your art.
Oh yeah, especially when it comes to the idea of like how do you market it?
Yeah, like when it comes to stuff like that. I gotta
sell it. How do you make money? Wait a second, you know?
Right, or like how do I convince people to listen? It's like it's more than just like let me just talk on here and express myself. It's like so I've had to like tap into like a left brain, which is like not naturally there,
right?
But I've just had to like build that up.
Yeah, and that's great. So you just like bounce between the two worlds. Did you have a very creative childhood? I know that you created all these like award shows and things like that. Was art really heavily in your family and in your household as a kid growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think as Filipinos, we sing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a lot of singing, well, at least for me. Like, my brothers will be like, oh my God, this bitch.
You're like, no.
I sang all, like when I was younger, I sang a lot. Like a lot.
You're like, I got the birthday song. Hold up.
Like, like I was always singing. It was like, I don't even sing that much anymore, which I need to, I want to, because it's like, whatever, but like that's one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think like it was always just like, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of like TikToks about this.
Okay.
Where you like pretend you're a pop star in your bedroom.
Oh,
you like
who doesn't do that?
Like,
I don't trust you if you haven't done that.
Like I feel like that is like being like creative in the art. Like I feel like I've always like I've had so many talk shows. I had Stefanie CDs. I had Stephanie's talk shows.
I love that.
I was always like doing something to express. I needed to do something to express myself.
You just like felt like it was bubbling in you, and you're like, I gotta get this out.
Yeah. Like
I respect that. I get it.
Always needed to.
So when you performed little sold out concerts in your what was your hairbrush song? Like what was the song, your go-to hairbrush song?
I mean, it depends, because it really, I mean, definitely something Britney Spears.
Okay, gotcha.
%, or Mariah Carey.
Ooh, okay. What was your closer song then?
Heartbreaker Remix.
Oh, the remix.
The remix.
Yeah, it's a great one. It's a classic.
Yes, or Avril Lavigne. I remember there was a really emo phase.
I mean, yes, everyone's touched that area.
Yeah,
of the
like
world.
Avril Lavigne, but definitely, the basic ass like Britney Spears, NSYNC, like all that shit. That was like Jennifer Lopez. Like I loved her album too. Like it was,
it was hairbrush songs.
Yeah,
Sold
like I don't
out.
know. I feel like it just like I'll have my moments where I'll like stick to one song, and then I'll like the next minute it's like another song, but I can't.
And choreographed dances, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
for sure. It's like raining when you're in the shower. Like
you're
singing in the rain.
Of time. Oh my goodness, the amount of time. If you don't sing in the shower, are you human?
I don't even sing in the shower anymore.
What do you mean anymore?
I don't. I used to sing in the shower like
you should always sing in the shower.
I don't know.
You should do it. Just you know what? I think that your homework assignment is to go home and just sing in the shower.
You know what's crazy? Like I was on the phone with Chris, my boyfriend, and I was talking about this time where me and my best friend Ria used to create like covers on GarageBand with instrumentals from YouTube.
Love it.
And I pulled some up and I was like ready to make fun of myself, but there was one song where I was like, this is actually really good.
You're like, this is a banger.
Yeah, it was Demonstrate by JoJo.
Oh, great
yeah.
song.
Only okay. real JoJo fans know that song.
I'm literally
I kind of killed it.
back.
I kind of killed it. I was like,
so
okay,
you'll find
bitch.
it and send it, and we'll post it on the Instagram.
I mean, I don't think I'm that.
We're gonna find it, and we're gonna. You're gonna
the
send
production
it to me.
was very.
You're just gonna
low.
send it to me personally, so I can hear it.
Okay, and I did Marvin's Room, JoJo's version.
Oh, great. Okay, so wait, this is very recent then.
Well, these were some files from like 2015.
Okay. But like,
Yeah.
okay, so the other thing that's like super amazing about you is like the singing thing. A lot of people don't actually know about
Yeah.
you, right? Like I feel like
That's
I
my
was
first
maybe,
love.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I was like a few episodes on Broke Girl Therapy when you were like, yeah, my album, and I was like, what? And you like talked about how you like made like a mixtape kind of you singing and stuff, and I was just like blown away.
Wait, were you the one with Harrison? Did you listen to that one?
Yes, that's
when
the
I played
one.
Molly.
Yes.
Oh my
And I just
God.
remember being like so floored by that, but it made sense because
Right.
I could always tell that you had this like very like you're very creative and you're very bubbly and like charismatic, and it just like, you know, there's some people that are like, yeah, I'm a singer, and you're like, yeah, whatever, and then I hear you and I'm like, wait, oh, you're a singer. Like
I mean, yeah. No, I like to sing.
yes.
I like to sing, yeah.
But it just feeds into it. Do you ever like think about wanting to go back to that art? Do you feel like you maybe abandoned it? Or?
Lately, I think I do think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What stops you?
But knowing the right producers.
Okay, that's fair.
Like,
okay.
because I don't want to just like do garage band type shit. Like, I don't know. I feel like I think I should start singing more because I need to practice. But like also, you know, yeah, like I think that I do want to make like a body of work. Again, I don't want to go on a world tour. I don't want to perform it. I just want to make the body of work and just have that and have that be like something like special. Like I don't care to be a pop star. I don't care to be like a singer songwriter or like musician. Like I don't care about that. I just want to like do it just because I said because I want to do it.
There's this artist that I discovered in I think 2015 maybe 2015 on SoundCloud by the name of Boy Boy.
Yeah.
And no one knew who they were, and it was very mysterious. And I remember when they kind of came behind, and it was a guy making music in his mom's basement. When he came out from behind it, he stopped slowly making music. He just kind of like, lost the facade and like the fun idea of just, and his music is great. It's so many bangers and so many amazing like hits, but I could just tell that like once he like came out of that persona of like boy, then it was just not as fun as it used to be.
Yeah, because there's something about just doing it for fun and not doing it because I feel like people have this like idea of like, you know, oh, you're a musician, you want to be a pop star, you want to be like a Drake, you want to be all these things, but it's just like sometimes you just want to make music, you know, you just want to express yourself and like. And I feel like that there is a part of me that just wants to do that, where it's just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I genuinely don't want to be a pop star. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be in the music industry, but I would love to sing and like write something and like create a melody and a song that maybe like I could have that body of work to share to like my future kids, but also like maybe someone out there could listen to it and be like, oh, I love that song, you know, and like listen to it.
Banger. Yeah.
Right. Like, I just feel like there's just doing it for fun, like sometimes it just it feels good because I think a lot of times, again, with podcasting is an art that I love, but it's also an art that I feel like I want to do as a career and make money off of it. And then with singing and music, it's like so special to me that I just want to do it for fun. Like I don't want to like capitalize on it. I don't want to like think of like the business I don't want to bring my left brain in it.
Right.
Like I just want to sing.
You want to keep it
like,
sacred.
Right. I want to keep it sacred. I want to protect it. I want to just keep it like for fun.
Do you think there's a reason why you've been able to kind of keep the exclusivity, right? The fact that this singing thing is kind of yours and yours only.
Right.
Why don't you think you haven't done that with podcasting? Like, what is it about like podcasting that is an art form that you have learned that you can make it into a job as well as something you love and care about? How do you keep that balance?
Ooh, that's a very in-depth question.
Welcome to the art teacher.
Well, like, so you're asking like, what's the difference? Like, why am I able to pursue this art as like a money maker versus like music?
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, I'll just use myself as an example, is when I started making money off my art, there was a massive transition where I just couldn't write. Right. And I was like, this is weird. I used to write all the time for free, and now I have to get paid in a paycheck. It feels weird, and it's it felt forced, but then it just kind of was like a learning curve, and I like adjusted, right?
Right.
But why do you think that you've been able to compartmentalize the difference between your art of singing just being kind of like a hobby and something that's like religious and spiritual, not in that sense, but just something you love to like look at and visit, but then you could do something like this, which is an art to you, but it's an art that you can capitalize on.
Right. I think really the main reason is because the music industry is so corrupt. And I don't want that to be something that like discourages people. Like obviously I feel like a lot of musicians know that it's very corrupt, but it's like so worth it for them because they like really view themselves as these artists, and like there's no shame in that. But for me, like I just, as much, even though I loved it, I don't view myself as like doing that as a career.
Right.
You know, like I also don't want to like, I feel like I just know that if I start thinking of like, oh my God, my image and like my song, are people going to like it? Like, I feel like that would really fuck with the love that I have for it. Like I just, I just wanted to keep it as that. Like I don't, you know, like it's fine, you know, like.
But I think it's an important conversation to have because it's the idea that we are, you know, with this podcast and what it represents and what I want it to be is, what is the difference between a hobby and a hobby that becomes a passion, that becomes a paycheck? Like what stopped you from letting this hobby, basically you're saying that it's the industry. It's just like, you're like, I don't want to have it be ruined. I don't want to have to like overthink it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there are some people where it's like, that are like, no, like you said, it is worth it. I'll overthink it. I'm ready for it.
Right.
But for you personally, there was like a buck stop. You had to like, nope, draw the line here.
I mean, I guess maybe there is that, like, I'll be honest, like maybe there is that part of like, no one's going to like it, you know? And like, I feel like my voice, especially like where I grew up and all that stuff, like I feel like it's, some people like it, some people don't, you know?
Fair. Yeah.
Like, and that's okay. That's just like with every art, but like, I always had really mixed reviews.
About your, like the way you sound, singing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I feel like there's people who are like, holy fuck, you're so good. Like, you need to keep going. And there's people who are just like, you know, like, and it's just like, oh my God. And I think for the longest time growing up, I thought that I needed to be like a powerhouse singer in order to be considered a good singer. And I don't consider myself a powerhouse singer.
Right.
Like, I consider myself as like, I don't sound like her, but something similar on the lines of like Jhené Aiko, where it's like, okay, good tone, she could sing, but she's not like a Mariah Carey.
It's not,
but she's still able to make good music.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like the person that, oh my God, she just left me. Aaliyah.
Right.
Like, I love Aaliyah, but like you said, she's not doing runs, you know, she's not doing voice whistles like Ariana Grande, but she's still such a powerful singer because it's so like, it's, you know, you can feel it in every part of your body.
And I don't think I really understood that for most of my life until recently, where I was like, oh, I don't have to be an artist. I don't have to be a Mariah Carey. I don't have to be a JoJo. I don't have to be, even though we did a cover of her song, but like, I don't have to be all these things. Like, I'm Steph.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I could, if I wanted to, maybe I could, but I don't see myself wanting to do music for the rest of my life, but as like my number one thing. Maybe as like, oh yeah, like how you're saying James Gordon, where it's like, like James Gordon does this,
but he can sing.
But he's gonna sing. He's gonna do a little number with Ariana Grande.
I know, that's like my favorite is the reactions from carpool karaoke.
I feel like I'm like that.
Yes.
And I get it where it's like,
that and they're like, oh shit, she got vocals.
Yeah, I feel like I could capitalize on me as a host and a producer, and I'm okay with that. Like, I feel like I love that art, and I, you know, like I'm fine with that. But with music, it's just like, it's I don't know. I just never, maybe it could be all those things. And now I'm just kind of like, I just want to do it for fun.
No, I like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
But I also think that's really important for people to hear, that you don't have to necessarily take your art and make it into something that has to be a paycheck, right? Like there's this, you know, the conversation where it's like, you know, a lot of people might be good at something, but they're just like, but it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it seems as though just knowing you and knowing how we got to be where we are right now is that you've definitely learned how to take the passion and the love that you have for singing and basically kind of filtering it over to this passion of like creating in a new way.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is basically just production. This is all sound equipment. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing, but just talking.
Yes.
You know?
But it's all engineering, it's editing and things like that. It's just kind of like a turn. You know what I mean? It's just like a twist of what you're experiencing.
Right.
But with that though, did you kind of always see, like, was this the goal? Was being a podcast producer like what, you know what I mean? Like what were the other places that, you know, singing we understand is like a passion and love, but like where else did you think you were going to be? What did you see as success as a kid?
Oh man. I mean, I feel like I've always been very indecisive.
Oh, that's fine.
Like, I mean, I think all of us were, you know, like, I mean, there's also another art form that I really liked, that I really loved and thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. And it was fashion.
Right.
You know? And so I went to school and majored in visual communications and wanted to be a stylist at one point. And hated that. Was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible.
Totally fine to admit
but
that.
I wanted to but I love the expression through clothing. You know, like I felt that was so like, you know, like how I told you before, like Clueless at such a young age made such an impact. And it's because I just loved like the styling, you know, like for each character, it's like, you know, like who they are, like their expression and how you could, like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like
that great moment where Amber's wearing the same dress
Same
that Cher
outfit.
was, but she styled it differently and
Exactly.
wore it to a party. Yeah, it's just so brilliant.
It's so brilliant. Like, and like Mean Girls, I loved the outfits, you know, like I felt like that. Like I've always was so drawn to like
visually
the expression of like clothes.
I mean, it's wearable art. That's why it's so much fun. And that's why like runways are such an interesting place, because people watch runways and they're like, I can never wear that. And it's like, sometimes runways are just a gallery. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Right?
It's not just about like, it's not mass clothing and Forever 21. It's art.
Yeah. And like usually people who wear it are celebrities who have access to it. And then like people like us get like the kind of, you know, streetwear version of it.
Right.
You know?
The Fashion Nova version of it.
Yes. Or like, you know, the like Comme de Grace shirt that has like the heart on it, but we're not wearing the like gorgeous structural art that like they're known for. Right.
Exactly.
But it is an art form that's like, you know, but it sounds like everything that you do though leads back to this idea of visualization, like things that visually look good. Sure, it sounds good singing and talking and everything, but like that's the cool thing about like Broke Girl Therapy is that like it has
it's a visual experience too.
It is. You have the videos and then you also have like this great website, and it's just kind of, it's just all
like, I feel like the love for fashion, the love for music and expressing my emotions, and then, you know, the left brain marketing, all that stuff, like that's why I think that could capitalize on like Broke Girl Therapy and like podcasting, because it has everything that I love as an exterior into like one.
Right.
You know, because like I like, you know, create like every year, we know this, like I do like a big shoot for the show, and like I create like a vision of like, okay, how do I want, and if you guys have been following me for a while, like every year I have like a different cover photo, and I feel like it always kind of represents my growth in some way. And
does. Oh, really does.
And that's the whole point. That's why I keep changing every year, because it's like, this is a new era, and I want to make sure that like visually that's being represented. So if there's a certain point, and I don't know if you guys ever take this away, but this is how I look at it in my head, like a certain era of my life where I was going through the hoe phase and all that stuff, I put that towards like a picture that I had at that time, the Broke Girl Therapy picture. And I just feel like I try to like I try to like elevate it each time, because I want to show growth, because that's exactly what the show is about, is just showing growth every year. So yeah, like I feel like, I put the photo shoots together, I think about the outfits, and that's like the fashion that I dive into without really being in the industry, because fuck the industry. But yeah, and then like with singing, you know, like I love singing about heartbreak and love, and that's why I love R&B.
Right. I'm also noticing an interesting, I don't know if pattern's kind of a weird word, but there seems to be a time that happens in your life where you pursue an art, and then there's kind of like you reach the edge and you can either jump and go over it, or you can just be like, nah, this isn't for me. And
Yeah.
it seems like you've hit that with singing and with fashion.
Yeah.
Where two industries that you got so close to, kind of like the do I dive head first into this?
Right.
So what was it with the fashion world that kind of then again became a passion that you can now like sprinkle into everything else that you do, but you kind of stopped yourself from going like full throttle?
Honestly, it didn't give me enough fulfillment.
Okay.
Like it just, I mean, besides the toxic work environments, I think overall it just felt so empty in that industry. I was like, we are hustling and treating each other like shit. For what?
Yeah.
For these celebrities to wear these clothes? Who gives a
Right.
fuck? And that's why I'm always like, I don't give a fuck about celebrities. Like, you know, unless I actually like value their art. But
Yeah.
like, you know, that's really the main reason. It was like, I felt so empty. I was like, I love clothing. I love expression. But working in this industry was just so like, it didn't fulfill that.
The joy was just taken away.
Yeah, it was gone.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I rather just have it be like an external love that I dive into when I need for the show. And that's it. Like, I'm not doing it for anyone else.
Was that hard? Was it kind of heartbreaking?
Yeah. Because it was like, I'm in debt.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the real. But like,
I
how
went to
did
school
you?
for it? And
But I feel like we talk a lot about like, you know, heartbreak in the sense of
Yeah.
significant others and relationships. But like, how was it to kind of break up with your art form in that way?
it was really disappointing because I did, you know, work my ass off, and then I got fired.
Mm-hmm.
And so it felt like, oh my God, am I not good enough for this industry? So there was a bit of like doubt, like I wasn't good enough. But honestly, looking back, I felt relieved. I felt so relieved. I was like, ugh.
You're like,
Like,
oh,
this
thank God I
sucks, but
dodged
like,
the
oh my God,
bullet.
it's like getting out of a toxic relationship where you're just
Right.
like, it's sad, but like, thank God.
You're like, ah, God, I needed someone to
Right.
do this. I needed you to fire or break
Right,
up with
exactly.
me. Right.
Like it needed to happen. And obviously it was like hard because it was like, okay, what's next?
Right.
But it was like, it felt good to like take that power back and be like, no, fuck y'all.
Oh my God, that's so important for people to hear.
Yeah.
That you were able to do that.
Yeah.
So did it immediately come back in the sense that like obviously it's like what you use? Was it kind of difficult to kind of touch back into that? Did you feel any like residual like anger towards it, being like, I just want to wear sweatpants or whatever?
Like as far as like my day to day.
In part with how did it come back into what you do now? Right.
Oh, I see where you're trying to.
Yeah. I'm kind of good at this in a weird way.
Yeah. Okay, so now, you know, I've decided to produce and to work in podcasting full time.
Mm-hmm.
And now working as associate producer for a Vogue podcast. Can't tell any more information about what it's about, who's gonna be on it, because it's gonna be really fucking great. And that's actually a great time to talk about this, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this right now. I, you know, was super excited to be on this project. And granted, right now I have so much on my plate. Like, I'm doing this show, but I'm also working in another department in the company, and I'm, you know, I have my attention span is spread thin because I just have a lot on my plate. And I was not holding up my end on the show. And it wasn't because I didn't care. It's just because it was like, it you know, it's Vogue. So it's very like.
It's serious.
It's serious. But I have so much on my plate that sometimes I'm like, I have to get this done first. And then this lacks, you know? So I had a mental breakdown. And a part of me felt like it was like this PTSD from fashion where I felt like I wasn't good enough.
Interesting.
I had
literally
last week. That's why I'm taking a break from Brocal therapy for a month so I could like focus on it. But like, I even like called my therapist
Good for you.
And I was like, I just like I even called off at work because one time it was Monday morning, and I was like crying because I was just like so tired. Felt like every little thing I was doing was not going right, and also Mercury's in retrograde, so fuck the stars.
Yep.
Fuck Mercury right now.
Uranus is in your reverse cowgirl. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
Ugh.
And thankfully, I have such an amazing company where they're like, they value mental health. So they're like, please take the day off.
Shout out to companies that care. Okay?
Yeah. So they're like, please take a day off.
Yeah.
Like, relax, recharge. Like, let me know if you could come into, work tomorrow, whatever. And it was just like, I felt for a moment that I had PTSD from like my past fashion jobs. They were so toxic.
I see what's happening. Yeah.
So it was like, but it's like this project is like, okay, like it's in fashion. It's for a very high profile client, but it's, it's like in podcasting. So it's like combining the two. So it's like, oh my God, I just want to be perfect.
Yeah.
I want to do everything right. And it's just like, I think my anxiety, like sometimes there's this voice in my fucking head that tells me I'm not good enough. So it's like, you're not a producer, bitch.
Everyone has that voice.
Yeah.
I just watched a great Pixar movie, Luca, where they call that voice Bruno, and you just say, "Shut up, Bruno."
Yeah,
Everyone
Bruno
was wilding
bitch.
out. Oh God,
Was a
Bruno.
fucking bitch.
Don't be doing that.
She was Bruno, she, they, him, whatever. It
Ugh, Bruno.
was
But yeah,
like
that voice. Everyone has
right.
it. Mhm.
And it was just my anxiety was just like, and no one was like being mean to me. I just like, I kept making mistakes.
No, there was.
It was Bruno.
I was about to say,
It was
yeah,
me.
you were being mean to yourself and allowing Bruno to have like
Right.
front and center with the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
My therapist was just like, you're not having PTSD, you're just tired. Like really, like, this has nothing to do with fashion.
Doesn't it piss you off when
Right.
your therapist says,
You're like, I diagnosed myself with
yeah, your
this.
therapist is like, take a nap and drink some water. And you're like, oh, okay. It's just everyone is exhausted and dehydrated.
She was literally like, this is not PTSD.
Yeah.
She's like,
but it's
but
smart
it's
that
just
you
like,
thought that, though,
yeah, I was
because
like,
you were like, okay.
so I was like scared. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not good enough like that one job. And she was just like,
he was tapping into the world that you were like, I already hate this world. Oh, this world hates me back, i.e. fashion.
right.
So, of course, you immediately associated to that. But
Yeah. She's like, in all honesty, you need a break.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. It wasn't PTSD.
Was that hard?
I don't know if it was hard. I mean, it's hard to take a break because it's like my mind doesn't shut off as an artist. Like I'm taking a break from vocal therapy, but I'm like, just today I was like, who could have on my I was like doing stuff for it still. You know what I mean? I was like
how many times do I text you at 2 a.m. and you text me at 4 a.m.? Like, how many times have we had conversations where I'm like, no, I found a new guest for the podcast. And
Yeah.
you're also like, here's a promo video. And I'm
Right.
like, you should be asleep. And you're like, you should be too.
Yeah.
You
It was the middle of the night, yeah.
You can't help it when, you
Like
got
when
Bruno.
I'm on a high,
You
yeah.
got Bruno being like, you're not good enough. But then also you have your muse finally showing up at your doorstep being like, here's 50 million great ideas. And you're like, bitch, I'm trying to sleep. It's hard. That's why I'm like asking like you, like it was hard. Because I don't think a lot of people hear that enough where it's like, yeah, when you take a break.
It's hard to take a break.
It's extremely hard to take a break because you feel like the entire world is running past you and you don't have enough time. You know what I mean?
Right.
But so it was difficult for you to take a break. You did take a break and you did what I think people forget to do in a break, which is set boundaries.
Yeah, I'm learning to do that for sure. Because, I mean, because of that, people in my company were like, okay, we realized that we did put a lot on your plate. And we just didn't know. Like, I'm glad that they were honestly like very grateful that like I said something and it was like, I need the day off. Like it was a sign for them to be like, okay, as we expected, we did give her too much to do. but
it's also a weird catch-22 because you're like, no, I'm showing you that I'm hella dope and I can't take it. And then you feel
but
weird.
then now I feel weird because I'm like, okay, thank God I don't have as much on my plate, but fuck.
Like, I don't want you to think I'm weak
Right.
either.
Yeah, I don't want you to think that I'm not reliable.
Yeah, but then it's also like, wait, but I'm not weak because I admitted that I was tired, which means that I'm strong and that means that I have healthy boundaries. And then it's just this endless cycle again.
Yeah.
But obviously you got the Bruno voice going, being like, no, that's just a sign of a weakness. That's a sign of you saying that you're not good enough. But like, obviously it's your, the other thing is that we're not used to healthy jobs, healthy work environments that are
healthy
like
anything.
Yeah, right. Where you're like work environments that are like, you know what, actually, Steph, like we did give you 17 things when really the average employer only takes 8.
Right.
And
you're like, oh yeah, you are doing too much. We just wanted to,
Yeah, oh yeah, forgot that we also sent you those 3 other emails,
Yeah.
But I think that's also really good to check in because it's a good thing for your job to know, because it's not a sign of weakness. It's just literally a sign, I think, of strength, of just being like, no, this is where I can like chill. You know what I mean? Everyone has a limit, you know, and that's great that you were able to hit that, but also be supported by a job that was like, okay.
Yeah. They were like, you're not weak, but I'm just like, what do they think I'm weak?
But when you were able to, so you're able to like kind of take that day off, step away from it. And then
I put my phone on do not disturb, bitch.
Congratulations.
Literally didn't even talk to my boyfriend that day. Like I was like, I got a massage.
Oh, wait, you getting massages up in here? That's amazing.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah. And I could, she was like, ooh, very tense. She was like,
I could tell.
And like my face was just like you could tell that I was going through it.
Did you start drooling?
No, then I was like drooling, but like, when you just have like a tired, depressed face, like when I'm depressed or tired, you could tell.
Oh, for me, it's it's very much like, me and my designer bags under my eyes, but like for me, it's very much like my face looks puffy because it looks like it wants to cry, but it can't.
Right. That's
and it's
me
also,
too.
Yeah. So it's like very much, yes, the depressive look,
It's just like, you just tell. I went in there, I was like, do you have time for a 2-hour massage? And they were like, oh, we only have time for a 90-minute.
See, but you also like that. Even the massage place had a fucking balance and a limit. Right. They were like, no, our ladies are not going to do 2 hours. We have a limit, 90 minutes. And you're like, I respect that. See?
Like, fine.
If the massage parlor can have a limit, you should have a limit too.
For real.
90 minutes.
For real.
I respect that massage parlor a lot.
It was great. I'm gonna go back for sure. I had a very nice experience.
See, but you were able to like do some like, because I feel like sometimes people think self-care is really selfish, but it's not. It really just is you taking care of yourself.
Yep.
And sometimes we forget to do that. I just learned that Jennifer Lawrence has the tattoo of H2O on her hand to remind herself to drink water. And I was like, kind of went, ha. That's kind of clever. I was like,
she would do something like that.
But it's clever. But it's this idea of like you going out, taking a Monday off, and then also getting a massage, putting your phone on do not disturb. Oh. Doesn't mean you're abandoning your art. Doesn't mean that you're giving up on it. It just means that, hey, I just need a breather.
Right.
I just need to chill.
Yep.
Don't mind the mid-city fireworks that have been going on since literally June 1st. Oh my God. This time last year, when everyone got their stimulus checks, it was like the 4th of July every single day.
Oh, fuck no.
Anyway, sorry. You can edit that out. But so with that being said, though, so you were able to take all these like precautions to take care of yourself and protect yourself. Now you're back on that same project.
Yeah.
Has it changed at all since you've been able to step away to have that healthy conversation with yourself as well as with your therapist, to look at this as this is just a job that includes fashion but does not include my trauma?
Yep.
How did that feel?
It's still like obviously it's been fine so far, because I don't want to speak ahead because I'm sure I'll probably have my moment again.
That's fine. Everyone has
like,
it.
I think just going back to what my therapist said, like she told me, she's like, this is a new job. Mm-hmm. This is a new team. These are new people. Like your experience. Oh,
I know. Every night.
That was a very intense.
And then there's a car alarm.
Oh my God.
You know what the best part is? One time, sorry, you can edit this out. One time, the guy kept his car alarm going for 15 minutes. And then you heard someone scream like, turn your car alarm off. And the guy screamed back, stop firing fireworks and I will. And he was like, I was like, I love my neighborhood.
I love that.
I love it. In a few minutes, we might hear the only other white girl that lives on the block who's way bolder than me and says things like, I'm going to call the cops. And me being like, don't. People don't confuse me with her. She's blonde. We're not the same person. But yeah, sorry. You can edit that out.
It's okay.
But yeah, so you were able to like you go back, see this is a job, but also see it as a job that you like and everything.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. If anything, it's like I mean, I understand that I do have a lot on my plate, but it's like, oh, I want to do more. You know what I mean? It like makes me want to do more. Like I
know, but you can't always do a 2-hour massage. You know what I mean? You can only do 90 minutes. Maybe you could do 95, but you don't have to do like 2 hours. Right. You know, there's a way I feel like, and I think the really unhealthy thing is that voice sometimes is the capitalism voice coming in, where it's like, I want to do a lot because I might make the money out of this, right?
Well, it's actually not even that for this particular project.
No, with this particular project, but I'm saying in other people that might be having that.
That's
with
true. There are the moments where I'm like, oh.
I think it's, well, I have to, if not now, it's never going to happen. I have to do it now. Like, I mean, the time's perfect. I mean, it's this and this and this. And for you,
it's just like, I want to make an impression as like a real producer.
But for you, and it's all lining up right now. So it's like, if I don't pull the trigger now, it's never going to happen. And so instead of you being like, no, if I'm producing this, it can happen on my time. So it's like a power shift too.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have such a supportive like supervisor.
You have literally a dope dream job.
For sure.
I'm so proud of you for getting it.
I mean, like they even told me like, you know, it's okay, you're not failing, or don't feel like you're, you know, incapable. They're like, I've seen you do what you do with your show, and you have so much talent, and that's why we wanted you on. So
way to go.
It's fine. Like,
it feels good.
Like we understand that we like gave you too much, you know, and like we should not be working at 120%.
Yeah.
Or 100% even. We should be working at 80%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it really should just be that and not be like so robotic. And I'm just so grateful that I have a team that values that, you know, because it does make a difference, because this project is like, I have such a good feeling about it. Like, we're even just like, we should win an award for this shit. Like, this shit's gonna be good, you know? Like, we're very proud so far of like everything that we're making, you know? And it's because you have a team that's just like values taking care of each other and understanding like, okay, I need a break, or it's my birthday, I want a day off, you know? And like, because that matters, because we can't, we need to have a life.
Yeah. And in the retrospect of that is that you have a team that values each other, that is then also fueled though by a linked passion. You guys are all passionate about this project,
for sure,
right?
For
and
sure.
you guys all have that kind of like what you have, which is like, no, I want to do 120, not because I'm tired, but because I love to create. I want to make this.
Right. I want to be part of the process. I want to learn. Like, I mean, they're even like, oh, do you want to like sit in the scripting like process? I was like, yeah, I'm not even a writer, but like, I want to learn. I want to learn what like the you know, the processes of like making a script for like a narration for a show, because we're not scripted here.
No,
we're not. So
the stuff that I read at the beginning and the end, but other than that,
like, you know, I mean, like, it's just, I want to learn to be better. I want to learn something new. I want to, you know, so yeah.
It's great though.
Yeah.
But you know, so basically in this trajectory of like where you started to where you are now, you weren't necessarily setting out to be where you landed.
No.
Right?
It was, I mean, we didn't know what a podcast was in the 90s.
Oh, God, no.
Or the early 2000s.
I know. When
it's
you
just such a new, like...
When you started this conversation being like, I'm not going to start a podcast to talk about sucking dick, I was like, can you imagine someone saying that in the 80s? They'd be like, what? You're going to do what? Talking about
that
what?
was not a thing.
It's not a thing. I mean, still to this day, it's
so wasn't a kid being like, I want to do that.
Yeah. but I think that's really important, because people always are so, I feel like, anchored and obsessed with one definition of success, when in actuality, success should and always change with you, right? Like here you are talking about how like from childbirth, you have been literally archiving your entire life. And that's why you love filming and like taking photos and like Instagram and all this stuff, is like you're archiving and curating this like lookbook of like looking back on your life. And then continuing on that your success then mimics your growth. The idea of, you know, I want to win an Oscar slowly is like, okay, yeah, that's doable. But as you like, someone gets into more in the industry, they're kind of like, no, actually, I don't know if I want just that. That just seems like a one note version of success.
Right.
And for you, it's just kind of this growth and the success that's just multiplied and changed and shifted. That's the power of not being so like, don't hold tight to dreams. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you gotta like
be open to different possibilities.
Right.
You know?
You gotta let them breathe.
I mean, I think deep down, like even when I was younger, I remember Bruce, if you're listening, probably not. There was
Hey Bruce,
this classmate that I had like in 8th grade. He'd always be like, "You're so talkative," and he'd be like, "I feel like you should have a talk show." And I was like,
way to go, Bruce.
I was like, how could I can't have a talk show. Like a dream like that was so like unattainable because we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have podcasting like this. We didn't have like thinking of being like on a, having a talk show was like thinking of like fucking Oprah or something like that where
Ellen
you're like,
DeGeneres
that's
or whatever,
so like how do I just audition for that? Like, and I feel like truly like if I auditioned, I probably would never be able to be casted.
Right.
Like I feel like I had to create
your platform.
My platform. I had to create this life for me, create this art for me. Because I was like, if I keep auditioning for other people, like they're not gonna cast me. Like I don't,
I mean, I get
maybe
that.
they will, but I don't know. But like, it's like the faith in their, like my faith lies in their hands. Like the idea was like,
it's weird.
What the fuck? So I like the idea of just like maybe sometimes I kind of think about like, do I have like a control problem? Because I do like to do everything because I like
think that part, but
yeah.
yes.
But sometimes because I like doing everything because I like having the control factor,
right?
So like doing like my show and stuff like that. It's like I'm controlling my environment. I'm controlling my fate.
Right.
And it's not on some white man producer.
Yeah, because of the DIY of it, where it's kind of this idea that it's like if you went into a room and pitched it, someone would be like, especially like, the white man producer,
right.
Whatever, gatekeeper would be like, that audience doesn't exist. And you're literally like looking at your friends and your fans and your community being like, they do exist. They just don't exist to you.
But they exist to me, so I'm going to create it here.
Well, and not just that exist to you, they exist, not just to you, but to everyone. I mean, think about how diverse your cast is, the people who come onto your show, right?
Yeah.
It's the idea that sometimes those people that hold the keys, I hate to say it, aren't that creative. They can't see past their own image of what they know. And I mean, I'm talking kind of in the idea of the industry I work in with like film and everything, where it's like no one knows what's going to be successful and what's going to bomb, right? Like there's been so many times films that become blockbusters and people are like, how did that become a blockbuster? And other times that people are like, well, that kind of made sense,
Right.
But like no one actually knows what they're doing, which is why it's so great when you're like, you know what? DIY. I'm going to do this myself. I have the means to do it. And because of that, then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to help my friend Rose produce a show. And then I'm going to help my other friend produce. And then it becomes this like network that then helps a bunch of other people. But I think and I think it's really important for people to hear that if you're not seeing what you need to be seeing being created, go make it.
Exactly.
I mean, Issa Rae, you know how much I love her.
That's literally like, I look at like her success and her story as like such an inspiration to mine. Because it's like the same thing where it's like, no one else is listening, so we're just going to create it ourselves.
Yeah. And then everyone was basically like, I don't know, is this niche? And then it's like, no, it's like relatable as fuck, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that more people are really terrified to do that, but you need to realize that like, if you build it, they will come kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it is scary, but it is a way to do it. But like you said, there are people who do thrive on the casting thing, where it's like, I'll go out for casting and I'm completely okay with that.
Right.
And then there's some people that are just like, no, I'm not you're not gonna hire me to host your podcast, so I'm gonna make my own, you know? And I think that's really
And I don't think
dope.
if someone like create a show and they're like, okay, Steph, we want you the host. I mean, I feel like I would do better if I like created the environment versus being put in an environment they want me to, you know what I mean? Like telling me like, be this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can only be myself.
Right.
Like I can't, so I think that's why it feels so good doing my show and like producing it the way that I do and whatever, because it's just like, but I'm not doing it the way people are telling me I should do it.
Right. And I think your career, from literally everything you've told us and shared with us so far, is that you have done it authentically through the Steph lens. It has only been because only you could do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to a point where you're like, well, if I continued music, I would have to do it the way I do it. And no one seems to be doing it the way I do it. And I don't want to play their rules. So fuck it. I'm just going to make it a passion.
Right.
Same thing with fashion. Like it just seems that you kind of, that's just the type of artist you are.
Right.
Is that, oh, it's going to be on my terms. And that's completely fine. Very scary, but like, obviously very successful. Also, but very successful.
Scary. Yeah, thank you.
You know what I mean? I know how hard you have gone about in your career and how many weird left, right turns that you've made to end up right now.
Yeah.
Which I think is so great is people always assume success is an A to B situation.
Nope.
When really it's like A to Connecticut to
yeah,
F
A,
to Z to B to
Z,
back to A
yeah.
to Z, you know, and it's not a straight, it's not linear. No. It's not a straight line.
Yeah.
And also more importantly, it's probably behind you. You know what I mean? Like here you are being like, oh yeah, the art that I am now successful in didn't exist when I first started.
For sure.
So it's kind of, it's amazing that way.
Yeah. I love, I mean, it's scary, the unknown, but I love that feeling. Like I feel like when things are too predictable, it's boring to me. You know, it's probably why I got into a lot of fucked up relationships. But like, well, that's not supposed to be art teacher. Not
but we're also successful in those things.
Right, exactly. So it's just, yeah, like I love just, I remember when I like first wanted to like be in fashion, like I just told myself like, I just want to like live my life doing things that I love. Yeah. Like I grew up in the suburbs. Everyone becomes a nurse. Like again, no shade to these like jobs. But it's just like a nurse, accountant, all these stuff. But, you know, they buy a house and they have their families and that's cute. That's all really fucking cute.
That's amazing.
It's nothing wrong with that.
I love that lifestyle.
But it was like, I want that, yes. But I want to do it
unconventionally.
Yeah. I want to do it but also like do what I love.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, you know, my whole thing is that like I think there is two jobs that do not get paid enough and do not get enough respect, and that is nurses and teachers. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm sorry, teachers should be being paid like athletes are getting paid, right?
For sure.
And I look at that stuff, but when those people pursue those jobs, I'm like, hell yeah, you go and do that. I'm going to go do the weird shit over here that doesn't have a rule book that says, you know, go to school, get an apprentice. You know what I mean? There's a really cool, like, way to go about to become a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, a police officer, anything.
And we all need those things.
And that matters. And that's great. But even those people have passions and stuff like that. It's just the retrospect of the people like us who have turned that passion into a career that is very terrifying, very scary, doable. But it's just the whole idea of how do you go about that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just don't do well in generic environment.
That's fine.
Like I just don't do well. Like, you know, if I was a nurse, I don't think I would be a great nurse. Like I just don't, I feel like my mind is always constantly daydreaming. You know what I mean?
That's not good for nurses. I don't
exactly. Like you want them to be focused when they're drawing your blood.
Yes.
I won't be focused. I don't think I should be there, you know? So it's like, and if I was at a desk job, like being an accountant, like punching numbers, whatever, like
I wouldn't trust you.
I'm not capable.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust you.
Don't trust me.
I won't. I trust you with my art, but I don't trust you with my taxes. But
trust
like
my dad.
I would trust your dad.
My dad's
I
great
can't
with
wait him for me to fix my taxes situation. IRS, I have no problem with taxes. It's just I don't understand you guys. But no, and I get that. I think that sometimes a lot of people are not told that it's okay not to be conventional.
Yeah.
If you're conventional, cool, great. Go do the lifestyle of, you know, go to school, get a job, married, kids. That's amazing.
Fine.
But in the scope of people who want to jump into the deep end and the scary, messy world that is art, it's not as linear. It's not as perfect. It doesn't make as much sense.
And you'll probably change your mind and get bored all the time.
Yeah. You know, and and it's so funny because so recently, because of COVID, there's this like movement happening right now called the Big Quit. Right? There's a lot of people quitting their jobs.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are
they're realizing,
like, you know
I make more money on unemployment,
right? Or unemployment, or there's the amount of people that have made jobs and made careers with their own small businesses. You know what I
Yep.
mean? They're like, it's very interesting what this is doing to our economy as well as our well-being, right? So here you are at a job that is not a desk job, but that thrives.
I mean, it is. But I'm not at home. But it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's
don't
a
have-
quote unquote, it's a desk job, but in the sense that you also
like-
get to leave your desk, right?
Right.
It's a very creative job, but there are a lot of people out there that don't have that don't have a job that like makes sure it's like, hey, are you okay? Did you take a day off? Have you taken a sick day?
Oh, yeah.
You know? And
For
so
sure.
here you are at a job that like makes sure that you're okay, because they know that like the best version of Steph is going to create the best products to represent
sure.
them.
I mean, because they saw what I did already with, with my own show.
Yeah.
So they're just like, oh, shit.
They're like,
They
oh,
saw
shit.
me in my environment, in my, like, art, you
Yeah.
know, where I was, like, in control of the situation. I created that. So they're just like, oh, shit. Like, like, that's super dope. I think most of all, it's not just, like, yeah, the content is great, but it's, like, the passion that I have for it, is what everyone sees.
Yeah.
And like, especially in this industry, it's like they want that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the creative industry, you want that. So yeah, I don't know. I just think for people who like want to pursue something creative, like passion over anything else,
Yeah.
because it will reflect in your
Mhm.
work. Yeah.
And it's okay to take a day off.
Yeah. Take a day off.
Take a day
It's
off.
fine. You're not a failure.
Where can
I have to tell
people-
myself that.
Where can people follow you on your journey?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where can I plug myself?
Plug
Plug
yourself.
yourself.
So people can follow you on your artistic journey. Where
Thanks,
can they do
Rose.
that?
You can follow me, Stefanie Maegan, or go to brocotherapy.com.
She's laughing because that's how
Oh.
she ends her podcast.
No
She has
shit.
this like voice. It's so funny being a guest on your podcast because I can hear you turn it on when you're like, Stefanie Maegan at Broca. It's not how you do it, but
it's something like how I
It's
do. It is
kinda great.
it's a switch that
it's a
happens.
switch.
Yeah, but it's just like, I think because I'm so nervous when I say it, because I feel awkward plugging myself, so I have to create this character,
Yes, the persona.
the persona. So I get weird with this. I'm like, .com, and I have to do it every time because it's like expected, and it's like, okay, continue yours.
It's totally fine. It's like how I have to do I have to go like this. I have to go archaeologist to say that word correctly.
Exactly.
So, it's
Gotta do
yours.
weird shit to get it done.
You gotta get it done. But thank you so much. I
you,
really
Rose.
appreciate you being on the podcast.
We didn't cry.
I almost made you.
Yeah.
They can't tell the kids. Oh, okay. On that note,
Ooh, that
thank
one
you so
smelled
much
like
for listening.
Hawaiian barbecue. Oh my God.
Thank you for listening to the Art Teacher Podcast with your girl, Rose McAleese. You can always follow me at Rose_Etta Stone. And please subscribe and enjoy the rest of your day, life, or whatever. Bless
Jesus.
you and go make shit. Go out there and make something, you guys. Just do it.
Bye.
Bye.